Okay, this is Patrick Murphy Racy, and this is my video on how to set your camera, your A99II, for sports photography, specifically sports photography. So I'm hoping that this will be helpful to some of you that just get it out of the box and you're not really sure how to set it up. So we're going to start with the very first menu on quality, and I'm going to change the quality from fine to extra fine. And a lot of you will be RAW shooters, and so you want to do either RAW up here or RAW plus JPEG. I generally shoot JPEG, so I'm going to leave it extra fine. RAW file type, you have option of compressed and uncompressed. If you have a kind of a newer computer and you do a lot of editing, and you got a lot of RAM in that computer, I would shoot uncompressed RAW. It gets you the maximum out of that 42 megapixel chip. But for most of the rest of us humans, compressed is just fine. Image size, I'm going to leave the same, no reason to turn it down. Aspect ratio is 3.2, although it does give you the option to shoot stills in 16:9, which is kind of cool. So a lot of times if you know you're going to shoot and the stills are going to be pulled into a video, it can make sense to shoot in 16:9, but generally you just shoot in 3.2. We're going to move over and we're going to go down to color space and change the color space from sRGB to Adobe RGB because it's a larger color space and will give me more flexibility in post for editing to kind of address tonality changes and things like that. Drive mode, we're going to go from single shooting into high, but I want to show you there's a difference between high and high plus. High plus will give you 12 frames per second with full autofocus, but if you back down to high, you'll go to 8 frames per second with full autofocus, but now you'll have a very, very little screen blackout, and you'll be able to track action much, much better. If you're doing NASCAR racing and you're in the infield, this is awesome to shoot at the high setting. But if for predictable or motion that's going to happen coming towards you or whatever, high plus is great because you'll get your 12 frames per second. So going back now to the menus, we're going to go to the next one over, which is Auto AF mode. We want to change that to AFC. We want continuous autofocus at all times. And I never shoot AFS, so I don't worry about that. Priority should be balanced emphasis, and that's how it's going to be set right out of the box, which is good. And wide area autofocus is a good place to start if you're not really sure what to do. And on here, selectable AF area, the camera will come set to auto, but I prefer the only cross-type autofocus sensors. I get a lot better results that way. AF system is here, and I leave it on auto. That way you can do phase detect or contrast, whichever the camera thinks is going to be the best possible way to do it, which is fine. Flexible spot points, I generally go with 63, but as it tells you, it's not available for only cross type. So, I'm going to basically go to 15 points, which goes me only the center ones, but that's just because I'm an old EOS shooter, and that's kind of what I do. It works great. AF illuminator, turn it from auto to off because you don't want that thing coming on during a basketball game. You get tossed. Down to AF drive speed should always be on fast, which is where it's set already. AF track sensitivity, if you're coming out of Canon EOS, these are like the cases, autofocus case, so these are all in order, however, and so it's like this is going to track the subject the best and hold as it's moving through the frame, but I prefer the most responsive, which is the instant autofocus, which means you can, get the fans in the background sometimes if you're not careful. AF with shutter, I'm going to turn off because I'm a back button shooter, and so I'm going to leave that off. It will be set to on when you pull the camera out of the box. Next menu, we're going to roll down. There's nothing here that I see, so we're okay. We're going to keep going to the next menu. Definitely turn off auto ISO. It's a really good way to get yourself in trouble with your exposures. I don't recommend it. Enough said about that. Metering mode on multi is fine. We're good on third stops. So here we are with AEL with shutter. Doesn't really matter, that's fine. Leave that one alone. And these I'm going to leave alone. Let's see here. I want to point something out here in picture profile. The camera right out of the box is going to have no picture profile, but you can add a profile by opening up this menu system. I prefer PP1. I think it gives a really good kind of It gives you a good option because it gives you good contrast, but also a lot of shadow detail, which I like. But in very, very low light situations, extreme low light, I often find it very advantageous to go down to PP7. Now PP7 is actually S-Log. It kind of puts you into S-Log mode. And in PP7, once you get there, you can do the arrow to the right. And this will open up a whole new, so now this is a menu behind PP7. And so you just have to go to the right with the button, the dial button. And then go down to Gamma and to S-Log2. S-Log2 is really, really great for extreme low light situations. It's great. It'll put shadow detail where there really isn't any, even where your eye can't see, it'll show you. It's really cool. S-Log3 is designed for huge differences in exposure from extreme bright light to extreme black darkness. And so if you're having that, you want to make sure your highlights are covered. S-Log3 is your friend. But generally, most sports photographers, we're in the other situation, which is really, really dark, and we're trying to get good images out of darkness. S-Log2 is a kind of a cheater way to push process your files. You can actually underexpose slightly, keep your ISO down, keep your noise down, and then in post bring it back, because you get so much tonality. You get all tonality, really, in S-Log2. So sorry to go on and on about that, but I'm a big fan. It's mostly a video thing, but a lot of still photographers don't even know it exists there. So that's PP7. But for normal shooting, when I'm not in low light, I'm going to go PP1 and hold it there. Next group, there's nothing to do here. I'm going to keep going. Anti-flicker is a very powerful tool. If you shoot in like really, really small arenas, like high school basketball gyms, where the lighting is old and they haven't changed it, or they've put different bulbs in, you'll see in a rapid succession of pictures that you make on the court, you'll see a yellow one, a blue one, a red one, and then a white one, and it's very frustrating. This turning on anti-flicker will reduce that greatly. Depending on the system, it might even take it away entirely. However, it does that by paying attention through the lens of the mean of the pulse of those lights. Those lights are pulsing at 60 hertz. And so this will slow down your motor drive to use the anti-flicker option. So just be aware that your motor drive is going to slow down. You won't be able to go as fast if you have it on. You would never want to use anti-flicker in bright sunlight, so make sure you turn it off for field sports outdoors. And you want face detection off for sports photography. Okay, these are mostly movie settings, so I'm going to kind of pass through these. Movie 2, movie 3, we don't need any of that. Okay, now, roll down. I always do this because I do not want to release, I don't want the camera to be able to fire without a card in it. It's just dangerous. And sports photographers, we run through lots of cards, and it's just not a good idea to have that in there. So, steady shot, I do not use mostly. It can be very useful for handheld photography, like in gymnastics. I could see using it there, but I'm generally at 4,000th or 8,000th of a second shutter speed, and steady shot's not really going to help me up there. So I generally turn steady shot off. Never use optical zoom. Let's see what else we got here. Live view display. This is very important. Setting effect on allows you to see what the chip is going to see when you take a picture at all times. So it's effectively live view. But if you're using strobes, like I use strobes for basketball all the time in the arenas I shoot in, you want to turn that off. So if you're doing strobe stuff or lit portraits, you do not want to have setting effect on. But generally you'll leave it on for field sports and just any available light photography that does not include strobes. Auto review should always be off, definitely, because it's just a waste of battery life. On to the next one. Okay, here's where we get into, right now we have no way of making autofocus activate on the A99II, so what we're going to do is we're going to give us our control back. And in the second bank here, you're going to see AEL, which is not going to be set for that, but AEL should be on. And I also do AF on as well. I like both of those to be on, so no matter where my thumb hits, it's going to activate the autofocus, and that's how I like to roll. These buttons will not be set to AF on when they come out of the box, so you'll have to set them there that way. Okay, and I think all these are good, so we don't need to worry about any of those. and we're going to go back on to the next thing. The function menu set's really cool because as you get to know the A99II better, you can decide what you want to put in that function menu, and you can put whatever you want in there. There's a lot of options. It's kind of cool. So there's 12 kind of shortcuts. So if you don't want to dig through the menus all the time, you can customize this totally and put whatever you want in those. And I really appreciate being able to do that. It's nice. So we're going to keep moving here. Audio signal's off. I don't want the camera to beep ever, so I just shut that off. And we're going to go on to the next menus. Okay, airplane mode. Airplane mode is off right now. If you want to use the Play Memories app and like take pictures out of your camera and stick them on your phone using Wi-Fi, you'll have to turn that off. Okay, but when airplane mode is on, the camera will not look for Wi-Fi, which will save you energy and make your batteries last longer. So if you're planning on shooting something, an event where you're going to push out pictures all throughout the day, you want to leave airplane mode off. But if you know you're not going to do that, you'll use airplane mode on, just like your iPhone. Okay, these we don't need. Okay, edit device name. You can actually call the camera something else. PMR 99M2 if you want, or whatever. But if you use multiple cameras, this is very useful because sometimes you might have a problem with an exposure or something like that, and you'll try and figure out which camera it was that you shot it with, and it's very nice to have that because it'll be embedded into the information. So we're going to go on from there. Okay, and okay, we're going to keep going. Nothing there. Nothing there. No, we're still good. Okay, delete confirm really slows you down. When you want to delete a picture, the default setting out of the box is going to take you 2 tries to delete it. We want to be able to delete in 1 try. And so delete confirm first will get you that. It'll make a 1 button, which is nice. Display quality should be on high, just so you can see everything you can see as well as you can. And we're going to keep going through here to see what else we have got. Okay. Setting file name. I generally will change this from DSC to PMR, my initials, or you can also make it A99II or A91 and A92 if you have another camera, whatever. So it's just nice. Sometimes people get pictures mixed up who shot this, and it's nice to have it right embedded into the file name. Let's see, we're going to keep going. Okay, and we're back to the beginning. So really that's it. 13 minutes. I know that's a long time, but there's a lot of things to set. I hope that these settings might help you in your work, in your photography of shooting sports and action photography. It's really helping me a lot, and I hope this video will be of use to you. Thanks so much. I'm Sony artisan Patrick Murphy Racy, and that's all I have to say.